Well, hello friends. Welcome to Real Life on the Homestead in Ontario, and I'm Marie. And as you know, I haven't done any carnivore updates, and that's because I was traveling through Egypt and I was not going to stick to the carnivore regimen. I was eating mainly meat, but I was not faithful to just meats and meat products. I did want to experience the foods of the culture, and I did notice a little bit of that stomach bloat coming back. My inflammation in my knees was not terrible. I didn't know if that was because of the foods or because I was in a warmer, drier climate. I can't really say. But my experience was that I was starting to experience a little bit more of that stomach bloat. I wasn't eating tons, so didn't gain any weight, thank goodness. When I returned, I wasn't feeling great. I got a little bit of a bug on my last day, and it took me a little while to actually feel myself again. So I was just cooking normal, North American diet foods. We don't eat a lot of processed or junk food in our home anyway, but I was not sticking to carnivore. I was doing my meat and vegetables and some pasta, some potatoes. And it's been 2 weeks since I've returned, and I'm noticing there's a difference. My inflammation in my knees is definitely coming back. I'm definitely noticing that. I'm noticing a little bit of stomach bloat. My digestion isn't as great as it was. I was having a little bit too much information, but smaller bowel movements, normal bowel movements. I was not constipated or having diarrheas, but it was less. So my body was obviously processing what I was consuming and using it more efficiently. I have noticed that. I will attest to that is a positive, that the food you consume, you do process better. But now, like I said, 2 weeks back, I'm starting to feel the inflammation in my knees. It's definitely there. And I'm blaming it on the diet. I know what I do wrong, and I'm knowing that it was improving. It was a great test. I'm not going to regret doing what I did because it was a great test. I saw the positives. I saw how the negatives started to creep back in. And then being back home and having my standard North American diet, yes, definitely negative. So guess what? It's back to carnivore I go. And I think I'm going to stick to it for a longer period of time. Last time I did it for a month and I saw great improvements. So it's time to try it for a longer period. And I know I get feedback on it's not a good idea, whatever. Do your own research, figure out what's best for you, and I will share my journey with those who care to listen. I'm not telling anybody to do this as a lifestyle. I'm just sharing my experiences in case somebody's going through the same thing or contemplating trying this journey. So today, I'm going to share with you a recipe for carnivore mayo. The reason is, you know how when you go and have, let's say, some scrambled eggs over easy, whatever, you're going to have some eggs. You can have maybe 2, 3. Sometimes some people can eat more, but that's pretty much your limit. Yet, when you friggin' have deviled eggs, you can eat like 8 to 10. Why? I think it's in your brain. It's a snack and it's yummy, so just pound it back. Well, I do love deviled eggs, but I do not like the store-bought mayos. Even when they have the real mayonnaise made with whole eggs, it's made with seed oils. Seed oils are pretty much poison in our system. And I am going to link an amazing interview that Dr. Berry had, and I'm going to link it in the description box so that you can watch the negative effects by experts on your body from seed oils. So I know that there's also other products that, try not to name anybody, other mayonnaise that say that they are made with olive oil. I don't have that at home, so I can't look at the ingredient list. But guess what? You can find it online so easily. So I pulled it up, and I will actually include a screenshot of the ingredient list of a olive oil based mayonnaise. See that? Canola oil comes before the extra virgin olive oil. And then look at all the other ingredients that are added. It's crazy. Let's listen to the experts and no seed oils, because they're giving us more information than what I can give you. I'm not an expert. I'm just sharing my experiences. So what I do is I make a animal-based mayonnaise. I use my eggs, and I use my canned ghee. I make my own ghee from butter at home because I just like it being shelf stable. You can use butter, melt it down and use it, but I have the ghee already in jars, so it works really well. So I'm gonna be doing my ghee and eggs. I also add some Dijon mustard that is 0 carb, 0 sugar, and I will share that recipe another video. But you can use a standard Dijon mustard. Just read the label and make sure that it has no sugars, no carbs. So basically it's mustard seeds and vinegars. I also use apple cider vinegar and salt. Now, if you are super strict carnivore, you could just do eggs and butter and leave out the vinegar and the Dijon mustard. But I like that tangy flavor that you get from it. And if I'm gonna pass it off as the store-bought mayo in my house, it needs to have that tangy flavor. So that's what I use. The apple cider vinegar, the Dijon mustard, salt, eggs, and butter, but in the form of ghee. So I've taken out the milk solids. So I'm gonna share this with you, but first of all, I'm gonna go out to the chicken coop because I want today's fresh eggs. I want them as fresh as possible because we are using raw eggs, and it's just one more step for caution. So I've gone out to the coop. I have 2 eggs, and I've washed them because we want them as clean as possible. Some Dijon mustard, some of my apple cider vinegar, which I do have a video on how to make apple cider vinegar. I'll link that below in case you haven't seen it. And of course, my ghee. Gotta get my ghee. If you're interested in seeing how I make ghee, just put a comment below and I'll put it on my things to do list when I have some spare time to do videos. But talking about butter mayo, I did a lot of research on how to make it and how I could do a carnivore mayo. And the negative comments that were placed on a lot of videos was, once it's placed in the fridge, because you are using raw eggs, you want it in the fridge, it becomes very hard and it's no longer spreadable like that stuff you buy in the store. So I always did my regular mayo when I was using vegetable oil, and I always used the whole egg, and a lot of people just use the egg yolk. So I'm thinking using the egg white in addition to the egg yolk does help it. And then I came across a video, which I will also link below because I want to give credit, and I can't remember the video site, but I do want to give credit to him because he explains a lot of the different things, how the proteins change when you have your butter hot and you add it to your eggs, and then you add your egg whites in later. And I like that, so I made it and it worked really well. Now, the differences is I'm using ghee, he's using butter, pretty much same recipe. I always do larger quantities, and I will link below the quantities I'm using. I use more Dijon mustard and more apple cider vinegar because that's my preference. So I will link my recipe, and let's get started. Simple enough. First, we're gonna divide our eggs. And I am going to save the egg whites because we're going to need those later. And we're going to be using the egg yolks to start off. Now, like I said, I just got these out of the coop, so they are super, super fresh. You can't get fresher than laid within the hour. There we go. We have our egg whites, which we will be adding in later. And I'm going to be adding, I'm saying 2 teaspoons of Dijon mustard. I don't measure too accurately. And 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar, but I'm doubling this, so I'm doing 4. And I need some of my salt. So I'm gonna mix this in, and I'm gonna get some of my pink Himalayan salt. Just a pinch. That's all you need. Now I'm going to mix this in. So just to get it started, meanwhile, I am going to take my ghee and place it in the microwave so that I can have it melted and easier pourable consistency. Now, because a lot of people don't have their butter in jars, I'm actually going to weigh this out. I want to make sure that's nothing in there. I'm going to measure this out because you want 2 sticks of butter, which would be 250 grams. So the best way to get that is for me to weigh it out and see where I'm at. Like, seriously? I'm not kidding you. It's exactly 250. That's what I had in the jar. But better to be accurate and share accurate information with you. Now I'm using an immersion blender. You could beat this by hand, but it'll take you a lot longer. And I'm using my Vitamix because it's much more powerful. And I will link an Amazon link for this Vitamix because it is fantastic. And I'm just gonna mix in to get us going. Make sure that the product is in there. Now, when you're adding your butter, take your time. There is no rush. It will help emulsify a lot better if you take your time. So I'm adding about a tablespoon at a time. I'm doing it on a low speed. I'm just gonna move it up to 1 speed higher. I'm gonna do it on a low speed while I mix it in and then whip it at the end. I'm doing this real time so that you see how easy it is to do this. Okay, so I'm going to stop here just to show you. See how thick that is? That looks like regular mayo. The negative is if you put this in the fridge, it's 2 sticks of butter, it will be rock hard. I'm going to make sure I get all my butter in there. So if you're going to put this in the fridge and it's going to become rock hard, this is where the egg white incorporation is going to help. And I'm just going to add it all in at one time and mix it in slow. go. Now it's mixing in. Perfect. Now I'm gonna just increase the speed and whip it really well. You see how simple that was, correct? Let's put that aside. Now this is still pretty warm. And look how it's almost like a salad dressing. This is good stuff. We don't want to waste any of it. There we go. I know that the consistency looks really runny, but we're putting this in the fridge. And in a couple of hours, I'm actually going to bring it back out and show you how beautiful this turns out. So I have two, basically from the recipe I'm including, is going to make you exactly 2 cups of mayo. I'm going to place a lid on that. Place it in the fridge, and we'll see you back here in 2 hours. Well, it's been 2 hours and our mayo should be set. Let me just angle this down so we can see what I'm talking about. There we go. And this is our consistency. It will get thicker as time goes on. Here, I'm going to take it from the side so that you could see. Can you see that clear? And I am getting into this a little bit sooner than normal because I'm going to be making some deviled eggs for the boys. And I think they'll enjoy that as a lunchtime snack. There we go. Didn't take long. So this was my version of a butter mayo made with ghee, and I'm going to feed these to the guys. Not going to tell them it's my carnivore mayo, and see if they even notice. If you're liking this type of content, please like, subscribe, share with your friends, and follow me on my carnivore journey. And as I go through the journey, I'll be sharing with you the recipes I discover, and I'll share. Have a great day and go out and live your best life.